How's everybody doing? Positive and productive. I hope. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me. Hey, do me a favor and share the content with friends, family, anybody that you think the content is relevant to. Remember, local elections are more important than national elections, but dollars are stronger than votes. They won't stop until we stop them. Liberation comes at a cost. Who's willing to pay for it? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a favor and drop a purple heart in the comment section. It really does a lot for my videos, for my algorithm, just a lot of different stuff. Purple hearts, I really appreciate it. So jumping into this really quickly, ladies and gentlemen, this is an older video and is beginning to resurface a little bit. And I'm not sure why it's resurfacing. We'll read the context and different things associated to it, but I do want to do a little bit more research on it. So we're going to talk about the video. We're going to watch the video. We're going to talk about the video, and then we're going to do some context behind the video. Because again, it's an older video, which I don't know why it's being circulated, but let's just talk about it.
Randall. Hey! Stop! Stop! Just stop! He's not. Oh my God! Are you kidding me right now? This is my car. It's not even.
So clearly,
Randall.
we saw that. So it appears the guy is complying. His hands are up. His hands are on his head. He's standing there, and it looks like the officer comes up and just jump kicks him in the back.
Hey! Stop! Stop! Just stop! He's not. Oh my God! Are you kidding me right now?
And so, ladies and gentlemen, listen. I'm not going to defend this behavior. This is totally unacceptable. This is wrong. This is a good example, clear-cut example of bad policing. This is a clear-cut example of bad policing, ladies and gentlemen, and we have to call it out for what it is. Now, a lot of times, a lot of the videos you guys show me, and I'm sorry you guys don't understand proper procedures and protocol, and you may believe it's bad policing, but a lot of times it's not. This is clear-cut bad policing right here, and we have to call it out for what it is. Now, let's do something really important here. So, this was shared by Roxy on Twitter. And this has about 1.4 million views, 3.9 thousand likes, and then about 700 retweets. So, and 190 something comments. So this is what I want to do. Let's go to these comments, ladies and gentlemen. Zoomed in, slow-mo, normal speed. He needs to be kicked off his job. Bootlickers. Can you source the video name? People recorded it. Get on the ground. Did he get on the ground? I didn't think I heard him say get on the ground. I don't think at this point, this policing job should really do crazy and more intensive checks. I don't know. Stop doing dumb shit and this won't happen to you. It's funny because, just listen to all the speculation. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know, generally speaking, I do support law enforcement. I'm not going to lie to you. Did I used to in my younger days? I didn't. But now, the way I look at things and think about them differently, I think the less fortunate or the people who can't defend themselves need an advocate. For instance, if my grandmother is by herself or driving to Costco or something and a situation happens and we can say, well, I'm going to be there. Well, maybe you could always be there for your wife, your grandmother, your daughter, your mother, you know what I mean? Maybe you could be in multiple locations at one time, but I can't. And I know I can't. So I would want someone there to make sure the right things are happening for the women in my life and, you know, for the less fortunate, for that perspective. And it's funny because stop doing dumb shit and this won't happen. It's funny, the guy wasn't doing anything dumb. And I'll bring it up from the ABC News article. Now, mind you, the ABC News article, the reason why I opted not to do the segment from ABC 10 Sacramento is the video is slightly inverted. So we can watch the video in different things of that nature. However, the video from their perspective is inverted on their camera. So I just didn't want to do it for YouTube's sakes and purposes. Again, if you're on YouTube, drop a purple heart in the comment section. The only thing separating a cop from a street game is the badge. Other than that, they're all the same. They're the same. Maybe was the kick really necessary? People of color are really suffering. White police doesn't resist. We can't shoot him. So again, this is bad policing. So you see some people are looking at it from the perspective of black people who get victimized by the police. You see some people are looking at it from the perspective of don't do dumb shit and the police won't fuck with you. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story, what's going on with Afro Man. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the rapper, the guy who made a couple songs. His name is Afro Man. He got raided by the police. They broke his door, they seized property. The money that they confiscated by their own account was they didn't do an adequate count of it, and the money that they even returned to him was not the right amount by their own account that they even confiscated. And then a lot of people in the comments when he first got raided were saying, well, you shouldn't be selling drugs, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't have gotten high, you shouldn't, because he made a song Because I Got High, which was over 20 years ago, give or take. However, he wasn't doing anything. So once we found out he had no drugs, or I think he had some marijuana and a couple vape cartridges, which was legal in his area, so he had nothing illegal, I'll say. The warrant was under the wrong pretense and speculations. I actually believe that they actually were at the wrong location for the warrant. So everything was wrong in that instance. He asked them, well, can you fix my door, my gate, and the different things that you broke? Because turns out that I didn't do anything wrong and I'm not doing anything illegal. And they denied him. They denied him to fix his property that he broke, even though he is John Q. Public and is doing nothing wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't always support anything blindly. I call it out when it's wrong, when we can clearly see it is wrong. In this case, we can clearly see it's wrong. So much to the point, and I just want you guys to read the comments, so what the comments were talking about. So now this is what we're going to do, because like I told you, I did a little research on this, and I wanted to know, was this fake? Was this AI? Various things. And here's the funny thing. I had to do a lot to even get to this, because AI can give you some wrong information sometimes, and look at what I even told AI. Screenshot of the video you provided. I had a typo right there. The links is not the same incident. I was talking about the incident is at night involving multiple people. The screenshot I provided was the day only one person was not kneeling and the knees did not kick happen in front chest. I provided, you're right. So we have to go over it. But let me show you something really quickly, because it gave me another video of something. And let's do this, right? Let's do this. I believe it was this one. So let's watch this. Sorry, really quickly, just bear with me. Just bear with me. Okay, it's over. So. Now, in this instance, ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys are not going to like it. Was the kick unnecessary? Was it over force? I will say it was. However, was it merited or warranted? Like, I was always told 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 2 rights make a left, or we're going in a circle, right? Like, I was all like, so understand what I'm saying now. Listen, all these other officers, well, let's go back to the beginning of this video, right? So the guy's running over, but listen in the background. They're telling this guy to get on the ground. Get on the ground. Now, whether you agree with that or not, understand, you have been given a direct instruction by the officers, okay? So again, why'd you have to
kick my brother like that because he didn't comply. That was the answer to that. Now, again, I don't agree with it, but I understand it. So, and I think a lot of times people, especially in the black community, we make this false equivalency or the false dichotomy of because you understand something, that means you defending it. And that's not what that means. But that does mean I understand how we got there. So now we can now start looking at different actions in this course or scene of events to pinpoint, to say, causation. If this didn't happen, would this have happened? If this didn't happen, would this have happened? Because again, I'm not justifying him kicking him in the chest. That's not what I'm justifying. I am not doing it. But what I am
saying is, would he have kicked him in the chest had the other officers not been demanding him get on the ground and telling him what to do? Would he still have done it, ladies and gentlemen? So, and I think a lot of times we want to abstain from that fact right there because we want to take ourselves and the accountability and the onus off of our actions and our behavior. And now we're free to justify to do whatever it is that we want to do. And now when somebody takes the onus to do whatever it is that they want to do, whether it's in their legal right or not, because remind you, we're talking about people who are breaking the law. And in this situation right here, majority of these guys are actually guilty. I know a little bit about this case. They found guns, drugs. There was a shooting charge that happened. And then these guys were the suspects. They found guns or drugs. And then come to find out, two of the guys in this situation were the actual shooters and the other guys were there. So now, does that justify him kicking him? No. But again, would he have kicked him if 5 or 4 other officers hadn't been saying, get on the ground repeatedly? I'm not justifying it. I'm only asking the question. And because I asked a question that me and you both know the answer to, you want to get upset. You see what happens? Because me and you both know that had he got on the ground to be subdued and handcuffed like the other people, because they didn't get kicked. But see, we both know the answer. Had he got on the ground, he wouldn't have been kicked. So the fact that I'm asking the question that we both know the answer to, and you don't want to admit it, now you're going to say something else, right? But now let's go back to our video really quickly. Now let's go. Matter of fact, we could do it from here. Oh no, we got to go back to X. Let's go back to X. So now let's go back to our video.
Randall. Randall.
So it seems like the lady is calling the man's name, Wendell, or something like that. It seems like whoever's recording the video is saying something. I don't hear the officer saying anything until the point at the kick.
Randall.
So after the kick is when he was told to get on the ground. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen. You guys understand my perspective and my stance, right? I'm going to tell you, you should comply with the officers and do what the officers tell you. And this will avoid a lot of different issues and problems. That's what I'm going to tell you guys, ladies and gentlemen. However, I will be the first one to tell you, after I am complying, let's go back. After I am complying and you said nothing to me and you assaulted me, I'm not going to get on the ground. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be very hard for me to get on the ground. And I understand that, ladies and gentlemen. So again, I'm not telling nobody to just blindly let a police bust you upside your head and do crazy man shit to you. I'm not advocating for that. I'm going to tell you, had I been this man in this situation, I wouldn't have got on the ground either. I would not have, ladies and gentlemen, because I would have been in fear that once I got on the ground, you would have assaulted me more because I'm already in compliance and you assaulted me. Now, I don't know what was happening previous of the video because we're watching it from the perspective, but from what I see a man in compliance and I see officers unprovoked assault this man. That's what I see in this video, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I see, and I'll be the first person to call it out, and I'll be the first person to tell you that the information and the general premise of my perspective of complying with officers, that would go out the window right here. That would go out the window right here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not advocating for violence against officers, but I am advocating for us to protect ourselves. So now you're telling me that if I am unprovoked and I am attacked, I am complying with officers and I am attacked, now what am I to do? It's hard to comply when you are, it's hard to continuous to comply when you are complying and that is still meriting violence against you. So from this perspective of this gentleman wanting to fight and wrestle with the officers, I understand completely. Because I'm telling you again, from my perspective, his perspective, I wouldn't have got on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. I would have been in fear that I would still be assaulted and accosted. I would have been. And it's a clear example of it. Now, why am I bringing these two dichotomies up? Because listen to this. Even though I advocate and I'm telling you that more than likely I wouldn't have got on the ground and we don't know exactly the ending of this video. So it looks like they do get him on the ground.
Are you kidding me right now?
And eventually he does comply or they subdue him. But let's go to another point. So now on March 11th, 2020, the man and friends had just finished brunch at a Sacramento area restaurant and were leaving when Sacramento County Sheriff deputies approached. They believe he had an outstanding warrant. It turned out to be a case of mistaken identity. He had no warrant and no criminal history. He complied with hands up but was tased and then received a jump-style kick to the back by one deputy. The family later received a $217,000 settlement after suing. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office opened up an extensive forced investigation immediately after the bystander video went viral. ABC 10 Sacramento covered it extensively, and the department confirmed they took appropriate actions against the deputy involved. Specifics were not publicly detailed at the time. So now, this is one of the main reasons in this case, ladies and gentlemen, and I understand, and hopefully you guys understand, it would have been hard for me to just get on the ground after you just jump kicked me in my back. You Bruce Lee'd me in my back and I was listening to what you were saying to do. That would be hard for me to do. But now, do you understand why I tell you more than likely if you believe the cops were correct? Or if you believe the cops are incorrect and you know you're correct, go ahead and comply, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I advocate that is for two reasons. Number one, especially as men, we're going to be able to come back to our loved ones, to our family members. Because imagine had he started fighting in this situation and then they instantly got their firearms and shot him. And I understand that it would be hard to comply in these situations, ladies and gentlemen. But in most cases, scenarios like the young gentleman we just previously watched, when all the other people are complying and laying on the ground and you choose not to, So in this case, where there was no direct derivative or instruction given, and you're met with violence, I understand. It's unprovocated or unprovoked. But in the instance of them giving you multiple commands, whether you agree with them or not, and you choose not to comply, well, that's a different style, ladies and gentlemen. And now do we see why this gentleman was awarded his family $217,000? And some people could say it's not adequate enough. But you know what also happens, ladies and gentlemen? You know what also happens? Sometimes we can be dead wrong and your family don't get anything. But they have to no pun intended, but bury the burden of burying you. Imagine that. So now imagine the fact of you saying it's not enough, $217,000. First and foremost, most of y'all never even had $50,000 cash money at one point in time. That's neither here nor there. I tell you, it's somewhere. Maybe it's on X, maybe it's on Rumble. Hopefully you're subscribed. Drop a purple heart in the YouTube comment section. I really appreciate it. But now you're telling me $217,000 is not enough? But on the inverse or the intrinsic flip side of this, we can now say that people die and they have to pay for their own family's disposal and funeral expenses, and they don't get any type of compensation. So which one is it, ladies and gentlemen? Being able to live and still see your loved ones with $200,000+, or not being here to see your loved ones and your loved ones got to now take financial burden to bury you? Which one? Which one, ladies and gentlemen? Because here's the thing. Tamir Rice, George Floyd, Alton, what was the other one? Michael Brown. I could keep going on. And whether merited or not merited, Philando Castile, merited, unmerited, unsubstantiated. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, a man lost his life, ladies and gentlemen. A child, a person, a human being. lost their lives. Whether the cop was wrong or right or indifferent. Now let me ask you, what did that change? After Tamir Rice was killed, did that change anything? After Philando Castile was killed, did that change anything? After George Floyd was killed, did that change anything? Because you can say, yeah, it did. But when I still turn on the news, I still see black people dying. When I turn on the news, I still see injustices and victimizations. But when I also turn on the news, I also see provocation and people bringing these things upon themselves as well. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know, because we're going to watch the second video again. We're going to watch the second video. Matter of fact, we're going to watch it from a secondary camera. That's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to watch it from this body camera.
Find your perfect tax expert.
Work with me, ladies.
Whatever your tax situation might be.
See, this is why purple hearts in the comments really work, because when you do this, now we could avoid all of the commercials and different things, and I could do stuff on there, man. Just drop a purple heart and watch what happens. You're here. You've been here. I don't understand why you can't drop a purple heart in the comment section. It really helps me out.
It's a video that has many people in Canton talking, and thanks to the release of body cam video tonight by Canton Police, we are seeing the moments leading up to the kick of 21-year-old Jamir McElroy. I'm News 5's Jeff Lefkolich. Tonight we have expert analysis as well as reaction from McElroy's attorney. In video provided by attorney Bobby DiCello, you can see Canton police officer Brandon Mamarov running before ramming his foot into the chest of Jamir McElroy. Oh! Now we're getting a look at what happened before that. Body cam videos from Canton Police show one officer arrive on Morris Avenue Saturday night after reports of a fight involving up to 15 people. When he arrived, multiple people fled the scene, and he comes upon a group in a parking lot.
2:39, I'm out. There's multiple people running through the parking lot. I got 5 at gunpoint in this parking lot, not really complying. I could use more units.
Get on your knees now. All you guys, on your knees.
That's when Officer Mamarov responds and can be seen on body cam running toward the group before kicking McElroy in the chest while he's on the ground.
That's why I gotta comply. I'm not really like that, bro. It's not compliant.
You guys don't want to listen, that's fine. Then don't be surprised when we put our hands on them.
And there just does not appear or look to be any reason for any type of aggression towards that subject.
Law enforcement and security procedure expert Tim Dimoff reviewed the tape several times for News 5. Dimoff says McElroy is complying with the officer's commands.
Yeah, the only time an officer might use a kick is if they're involved in a confrontation where there's aggression and or maybe a weapon, then we're talking about a totally different scenario than this scenario. Right now, with not having all the details and having the officers report, which I think is the one thing that is needed, you know, what did he hear and what did he see that caused him to go into an aggressive mode?
Attorney Bobby DiCello, who represents McElroy, says training matters.
The video that we provided and that has been out is a complete failure of leadership, an utter failure of leadership at the City of Canton Police Department.
Dimoff believes the officer could face stiff punishment for his actions that night.
And what they're trying to do is they're trying to better train their officers, have them better understand, you know, what's permissible and not permissible, what they should and shouldn't do.
Canton's police chief says that Officer Mamarov's actions are under review. DiCello says his client suffered a concussion and he just got reevaluated by a doctor and hopes to have new results soon. In the studio, I'm News.
Now see, now some of you guys are gonna be like, see, Chusta, you see what they said? I don't care what they said. Do you know what happened? So now understand. See, I wish I would have had timestamps and I did this. The thing about doing it in real time is sometimes you can't go back to the actual key point. So notice how everybody was saying that the guy was complying. Notice how it appears he was complying with the officers. It appears, you're right, he was on his knees with his hands up. But you understand, he was not complying. You know why? Because everybody else was on the ground. Now, maybe we can agree or disagree on the merits of getting on the ground. We can argue that. I'm willing to argue, should he or shouldn't he have gotten on the ground? Should you or should you not listen? But you know what people never say in none of these videos? And we can almost watch it again, even though it's somewhat of a longer video. You know what people never say? They always come with the premise of, it appears that they were complying with the officers. We're never under the premise of they weren't complying with the officers. Never do we say it from that perspective. And listen, I just showed you a case where officers are wrong. And I'm not saying this officer is right. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, I understand. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you guys know I used to be a bouncer. I was security for a lot of different nightclubs and establishments and different things of that nature. And a few people know there's only been a very few instances where I have to tell people what to do. And we all know, the people who were there understand, I'm going to tell you one time. Once you don't comply, I'm going to say, now listen, I told you what to do. Are you or are you not going to do it? And if you say anything but yes or no or in compliance, people know you end up on the ground very quickly. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. You end up on the ground very quickly. Most people know that about me. So in these positions of, I don't want to say authority, but doing my job, and I have to make sure I'm safe, and I have to make sure that I establish a clear hierarchy of dominance, of authoritative figure. Because when I'm security and I tell you that, hey, you can't be back here, or it's time to vacate the premises, when I tell you that, it's not time to go back and forth. It's not time for you to tell me what you think you want to tell me and what your sister did and how much money you pay in this club. It's not time for that. Maybe you think it is, but since I'm telling you it's time to leave, and now you want to tell me and now you want to tell me it's time of how much you paid and it's storytelling time. You know what that means for me? Now it's touch the ground time. Very quickly. It's touch the ground time. That's what happens. And a lot of people didn't like the way I was security. But you know the funny thing? You know what the very funny thing was? That because so I had like a little, it wasn't even a real security company, but I had like started a little makeshift security company where we were just doing some stuff in my local area, and I only had about 5 or 6 guys where I was employing for some local nightclubs and, you know, juke joints and, you know, just different little local spots, not big spots for the most part. A lot of people didn't like how I did my procedure. So it went through a process where basically they went with a different security company to do it for a while. And a lot of these clubs were like interconnected with each other. The owners knew each other and various things of that nature. So it was really funny because for about, let's say about 2 or 3 months, they were like, hey, you know what? We don't need your services. We're going to go with these people. You know, the customers like these guys and so forth and so on and yada, yada, yada. Okay, you know, not a problem. You know what I mean? They didn't like the way I did my procedure. About 2.5, 3 months later, they called me back and asked me would I come back. I told them no, because, you know, realistically, I had a different contract at the time that I was already working on. And they're like, look, we really need you. Not only do we need you, we will increase your pay and give you more days, more hours. Like, we need you. And I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, I thought you guys were going to go with the other guys. And they were like, you know what? Turns out the people like you better. Turns out, you know what? They don't like you per se, but they realize the way you do things, certain things don't happen in here. So, and I'll just realistically, really quickly. So not on my watch, what ended up happening was somebody was able to sneak a firearm into the building, shoot a person. They didn't die, but a person was able to get shot inside the premises in their building. And here's the funny thing. When I used to work this event, ladies and gentlemen, generally speaking, I would work it by myself, or I had one other guard as just a backup. So it would just be either me or 2 other guards. When they had the person who got shot in the building, ladies and gentlemen, they had 4 guards working on duty that time. 4 agents, officers, members working. So how was 4 people not able to stop one person from getting a firearm in the building, but yet when there's 1 or 2 people, you've never had an incident like this? There are times where, and then also there was a thing where there was multiple fights in there from the fights that started happening, they started kicking people out. They didn't respect the security guards. They ended up fighting with the security guards. And I don't know if you guys know what happens in a lot of these instances where people are drunk and different things late night. They start fighting, and then the next thing you know, they start stealing. So what ended up happening was the fight turned into an all-out brawl, and then the all-out brawl turned into they just started raiding the liquor cabinets at the club. That also happened when they had 3 or 4 officers on duty that time. So it was just a few different things that happened that were major things. They had instances where they kicked people out and they were able to sneak back in again after being kicked out the club. They had instances where people were bringing alcoholic beverages in the club, sneaking alcoholic beverages. We had a no glass cups or bottles policy on the dance floor. There were various broken glass cups and bottles almost every other night. And some of these cups and bottles were, they were like staples for the club and bar. Some of these cups and glasses were like, heirlooms and been a part of, their thing for a long time. So there was just a lot that were, and they were like, when this other guy was here, none of this shit happened. None of this happened. And when there was a situation, you know what? He stopped that situation. And listen, look, I'm gonna tell you another situation that happened one time on my watch. You had some gentlemen, they were about to have an altercation. They were about to fight. And I think actually a blow or two was thrown and they kind of like started wrestling with each other. So I was able to get into the middle of them very quickly. I was able to break the fight up, get in the middle of them, separate them, and then, and realistically, and the people who were there will vouch for this, people will tell you they saw this, I was able to put one person in a half Nelson, and I was able to put one person in another move where I basically grab you by your wrist and I bend your wrist a certain way, and it just makes you bow down. Most people don't believe it'll happen, and they say, oh, do it. And I say, I don't want to do it. And they, oh, because it's fake. I'm like, it's not fake. I'm like, the thing is that it just hurts so much. There's no like soft way to do it. Either it's going to hurt and you're going to be really upset because it's painful. It's extremely painful. And then I show people and they're like, oh my God, like, how do you do it? And it's easy to do, but you have to know how to do it. So here I am standing here with 2 men, one on my left side, one on my right side. One gentleman is basically bowing down on his knees to me, and the other gentleman is in a half Nelson with his back towards me. And I told the DJ, stop the music, turn the lights on, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't what we're gonna do here. I said, now, if anybody's gonna be doing any fighting in this building, it's gonna be me. I don't care what you guys do outside. If y'all wanna fight, y'all gonna go outside and fight. It's not the issue here. However, the issue here right now is you guys are putting the jeopardy and the safety of the patrons here, the livelihood and the safety of the patrons here at jeopardy. So now what I need for you guys to do is apologize to the patrons, to the establishment, and now as men, I'm gonna let you guys walk out the door. If you guys can't walk out the door, here's the funny thing. If any one of you have a difficulty in doing this, both of you gentlemen are going to touch the ground. Now, if you don't believe me and you're from Missouri, I will show you quicker than I can tell you. So now, gentlemen, let's apologize and let's get ready to walk off the premises. And that's what happened. And that's what happened, and when I did it that way, they didn't really like the way I did it, right? And the way I held protocols and the way I was, very scrupulatory of people, the way I searched people, oh, I'm a member. Okay, I'm still going to pat you down. Oh, yeah, I'm still going to pat you down. I did certain protocols with the gates, doing perimeter checks, different things of that nature. I was a stickler on that because I took the safety of the patrons very seriously. I took the protection of the assets that were in the establishment seriously. This is what they paid me to do, ladies and gentlemen. And I took that serious. So they didn't like that, but they end up hiring me back. So no, they didn't like me. They didn't agree with it, but you know what? I was keeping people safe. And you know what? Maybe you don't agree with the way the police are doing it in a particular area and different things of that nature. We can go look at stop and frisk and say, oh, you know what? The majority of the time, the majority of the people who were stopped and frisked didn't have anything. That's attributable. We can say that. But you know what we could also say? 26% of the time, it produced felons with guns, people with things that they weren't supposed to have. So we can say, yeah, the majority of the time, the majority of the people are law-abiding citizens. But we could also say that there is about a third of the people who got this stuff and they don't need to fucking have it. So what are we saying? So if I don't got nothing to hide and I'm a law-abiding citizen and I know it's a lot of this bullshit going on in my area and I don't want it there and the taxpayers don't want it there, hey, listen, I ain't got nothing to hide. Yep, you can say, look, at one time I was with my mother. And my mother probably doesn't want me to share this story, but it's okay. I'm going to share it anyway, right? We were actually, you know what? We weren't smoking. I had just rolled it up and we were about to smoke. So realistically, I had my daughter. I had my middle daughter at the time. And I want to say she was still in diapers and stuff. So, or she was just being potty trained. So we were going to go get her some McDonald's or something and then take her to the park, let her eat her little lunch, go play with the little kids at the park and different things. And we was going to chill out and go smoke. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in California, we smoke at parks. I'm sorry, get over it, right? Not with the kids, but adjacent from the kids. But anyway, neither here nor there. It deserves a Purple Heart because you're not subscribed. So, I was in a rush, so I basically ran a red light. I ran a red light. Now, mind you, this was before marijuana was even legal in California. So it was if you had like a rec and different things like that. What I mean by like if you had a recreational, not even recreational, we called them recs, but basically if you had like a doctor's note for prescription, we called them recs. But if you had a prescription or you know, and they weren't even prescribing marijuana, they were recommending marijuana. So that's why they call them recs, because if you had a doctor's recommendation. So I didn't even have a doctor's recommendation at the time, and marijuana wasn't legal at the time. However, I ran a red light. The police pulled me over. I said, officer, you can search the vehicle. You can search me, you can search my mother, my daughter, the diaper bag, whatever. I said, but realistically, my daughter needs to use the restroom. I don't want to have an accident in my car. I got a little bit of weed in the car. We ain't smoked it yet, but we're going to go smoke it pretty soon. So please don't take it. Literally, that's what I told her. My mom looked at me like I was stupid. And then he said, you going to go take it? He was like, you ain't got nothing on you, ma'am. She was like, I ain't got nothing. He said, okay. I think she had on like some type of he said, just lift up your shirt so I could see your waistband. She did that. He said, open up the diaper bag so I could just look in it real quick. Open up. He said, go ahead, take the baby to the bathroom. He said, I'll search you when you come back. He just did a visual look. He searched me. You ain't got no warrant. You ain't got nothing. Nope. Can I search the car? Yep, for sure. Let him search the vehicle. He did it. He said, because you were complying with me and you were truthful. He said, listen, I don't even think I seen any weed in your car. He said, because if I seen some weed, I'd have to take it and probably write you a ticket. He said, but you thought you probably had some weed. Maybe you left it at home. So I don't think I seen any weed. You know what? Just slow down when you're running through these intersections. That was it, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not saying that that's every I'm not saying that that's every interaction. I'm not saying that. So I hate when I'm sharing my anecdotal experience of what happened. Well, that don't happen all the time. No shit, Sherlock. Who said that? I hate when people draw a conclusion that's not being painted. Like, seriously, that really infuriates me. Like, why are you drawing that conclusion? Nobody is going there with that point of it. Like, nobody's going there. So the point of this is that we may not like the procedures and protocol, and we may not agree with it, but I understand it. I understand. Well, how can you understand something that you don't agree with? So listen, listen. Okay, let me ask you this. See, this is what's wrong with y'all. Y'all hypocrites. Y'all are hypocrites. So, okay, let me ask you this. What would you do to somebody who broke into your house and stole, your TV? You caught them in the act of breaking into, matter of fact, you caught somebody in the act of violating your child or your woman. What would you do to that person? You caught them in the act. I know this is getting crazy, but just bear with me here. What would you do to that person? You caught a person in the act of violating your loved one. And y'all know what I'm talking about. What would you do? Okay, so the reason why I asked that, so now, the reason why I'm saying that, so now what happens when the person who's being caught doing the violation is your son, is your husband, is your uncle, is your loved one? What happens then, right? Because you just said you know what you would do if you caught somebody doing it to yours. So now what happens when you are the perpetrator? Do you see how our logic just crumbles, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, well, hold on. Well, wait a minute. I did it, and I did the scenario this way. It was a hypothetical. I said, so what would you do for somebody, you know, breaking into your house, stealing your radios and your TVs and stuff, and you caught them? And a lot of the OGs was like, shit, I'll bust him up. I might pop that nigga. I might do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. And I go, and you feel that that's the right thing? You go, yeah, he's stealing from me. He taking from me. Woo, okay. So now what happens when such and such, and I use some gang shit, some street shit to be very polarized, because the guy I was talking to was a Crip, right? So now I said, so, and it was this blood guy we knew. So I said, so what happens when this blood guy shoots your son because your son was doing exactly what you just said? He broke into his house and was stealing his radios and stealing his stuff, and he caught him in the act of stealing his stuff, and he shot your son. Oh, I got to get my get back. You know what I'm saying? I said, so he's not right for doing what he did? No, hell no. Hell. I said, and see, this is my problem. We be so hypocritical. On one aspect, when it's done to us, this is the stance we will take and the position we will take for punishment when it's done to us. But yet when we are the doers, when it is our son, our mother, our husband, our people are the doers, are the perpetrators. Whoa, hold on now. Well, wait a minute now. Whoa, wait now. Whoa. And this is the hypocrisy in it. That's the hypocrisy. So, and I point this out so much, ladies and gentlemen. So again, I know we went further in it, but y'all love what listen, hang on, Marty. I should have told y'all to hang on. And we didn't time travel, ladies and gentlemen, but we just went to the edge of the galaxy and we were about to jump into the black hole and we didn't, because you know what? We're already like 40 something minutes in, and I appreciate everybody for rocking with me. I really do. I'm seeing you guys are like watching the content. I'm looking at the algorithm, but ladies and gentlemen, I need for you guys to drop purple hearts in the comments section. I need it. The algorithm feeds on it. You're helping out my videos. I almost want to tell you, I'm at the point now of saying, okay, put a purple heart in the video, in the comment, because it doesn't help the videos. It's like, I don't know what to say to you guys to instruct you guys to do what I need you to do. So if I'm telling you it tremendously helps me, it almost seems like you guys won't do it. So now maybe if I'm telling you it hinders me, maybe you guys will do it. And I know that's an interesting way to look at it, but I'll tell you this. I was one of the very first people to monetize on Meta in Facebook. So when I started doing content and I started taking it serious as a monetization process, I started telling people, listen, the more you interact with my videos and my content and you like it and click it and comment on it, I get paid for that. Do you know when I said that to my friends and family, people that I know in real life, people that we share common ancestors and forefathers with, do you know when I said that to these people, my content went down by almost 3,000%. It almost seemed like when my friends, family, and loved ones realized that I was getting paid to post on Facebook, they stopped engaging with my content. And I'm not saying that that's the truth. I'm just saying that that's almost what it seems like. So again, now, for the 100 and something people who are my subscribers, when you do watch this video, because now the algorithm's going to tell me that 15 people watched the video, but I didn't get 15 likes. Nor did I get 15 comments or 15 purple hearts. So now I'm wondering, because you watched the video and at various parts of the video, I told you purple hearts in the comments tremendously helped me. So now I'm wondering, why did you watch the full video and you didn't take the time to drop a purple heart when you know it tremendously helps me? So now do I need to tell you that purple hearts don't help me? I'm not sure what I need to tell you, but I do know I need purple hearts. As always, please stay positive. Please stay productive. Remember, local elections are more important than national elections, but dollars are stronger than votes. They won't stop until we stop them. Liberation comes at a cost. Who's willing to pay for it?